Today I'm going to make a short video on how to edit templates in safety culture. As a reminder, templates are used to create the checklists or forms that will be used during inspections. So to edit a template, go to the left, select Templates. Pick which template you want to edit, go to the right side of that template and select the three dots. Then select Edit Template. Once you've done this, you're ready to edit the template. For this template, the first section collects information about the inspection. Question number 1 asks the inspector to identify the company performing the inspection. The list of companies will pull from the company data entered into safety culture. The second question is asking for the location. The second question, I am using organization to find out the location of where this inspection is occurring. So to step back for a minute, if we go into safety culture and we set up our sites, which I am showing you here, we can break this down by your corporate organization, followed by America, Europe, or geographical location, and then broken down by country, or in the United States, broken down by state, and then further broken down by the city, further broken down by a specific location, and then the last is a tag, which here is the location of where it's occurring, or the organization within safety culture of where this inspection is occurring. Now this organization is important because this allows you to sort out the data when you do your reports within safety culture. So again, it gets a little confusing because you have to go into sites, you break down your structure of your organization, and in the end you end up having a tag, which is the organizational tag of where this inspection is occurring for us. So returning back to the template, now we've described what the organization is. If you've noticed, I've made this a required field. I want this to be required again because when we go to sort the data, I need to have this information to appropriately sort the data. The next field down here is the GPS location. Now the GPS location provides a specific GPS to where the inspection occurred. Now this is not so important if you have one location, but if you have a large location or multiple locations, you may want to collect that GPS location. If you have, you're putting up power poles, and as you move along string and wire on power poles, you may want to collect the GPS location of either where the inspection is occurring or if there was an incident, where that incident occurred by GPS location. So you can exactly know where that site is located. The next question down is conducted on. So this is our date, time, and I'm not going to go into great definition on this, but if you select on it, if you go to the right here, you can see what it looks like when it shows up on your mobile device. So if we select conducted on, we get a calendar that we select the date that it occurred on, and then there'll be a little time selection here, and you can select what time the event occurred on. Now you can edit this too, so if we selected 4:30, I can go in here and say, no, it wasn't actually 4:30, it was 4:35. I have made this a required field, again, because I want to collect the date and the time. If I don't think the time is important, I can deselect time, so I'm only collecting the date. But again, I want this as a required field because I need to know what date the inspection occurred on. The next question is who prepared the inspection? Now this, we're using person selection. The person selection is going to pull down a list of people for this location that have already been identified in safety culture. So it'll give you an exact list of people to select from. You want to use this instead of typing in people's names because that prevents you from causing errors. So when you sort the data, that you may not be able to find somebody because of a misspelling. The last question down here is a text answer, and this text answer is for inspection team members. Within text answers, you have two types of answers. You can have a paragraph or you can have a short answer. A short answer is maybe a title of something, just a few words. With the paragraph, I can add more information. For example, here I want to have a list of inspection team members, so I don't want to have a limited space to put that. So for this item, I'm going to select paragraph. I am not making this a required selection. The reason I'm not making this required is if you don't have team members, I don't want to have to force you to put data into this field. Now that we've completed the first section of the questionnaire, we're ready to start editing questions. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. Within the questionnaire, we have different sections. Right here we have section 1.0, which talks about collecting health and safety information, or health and safety posting information. You can see we have section 2, which is record keeping information. Now, for the beginning of each section, I have created a question that asks, are you going to evaluate this section while doing your inspection? Here you have a yes or no question. Now, what I want to make sure is that this is not a required question. The reason I state that I do not want to make this a required question is if you make it required, that first question, hey, are you going to inspect this area? What'll happen is anytime somebody goes to do the inspection, they're going to have to go to each section and answer that first question, yes or no, because it's required. If I do not make it required, they can just scan past that to whatever section it is that they want to complete. So if I have a section, say, on ladders, and you want to inspect the use of ladders on a site, I can go straight to that section and do an inspection there. And when I go to that first question, it says, hey, are you going to inspect ladders? And I select yes. Then the rest of the questions will appear. And if you look here, you can see that each of these questions, because there's a little star there, are required questions. And that's how we really want to set up this whole template. Now, when we're ready to edit a question, we just double click on it, and that'll put the cursor into the question, and we can make the edits as we see fit. If we want to change the type of question, we can come over here to the right and make a selection of what type of question we want to answer and change that. If we want to add more logic, so if you answer yes or no on this question per se, yes, we can add more logic by clicking on Add Logic. Then we can determine if the answer is yes, it's going to trigger some type of response, another question, or you're going to notify somebody, whatever it may be. And then you put that logic in there. I am not going to add logic to this, so I need to go over here to the 3 dots and then delete the logic. Now, if I want to get rid of a question, I can come over here to the right. You see the little trash can. I can click on that trash can and delete that question. If I wanted to add a new question, I can come over here to the left and select Add New Question. If I wanted to create a whole new section, I can come down here and add a whole new section. Now, another thing I want to be able to show you is you can drag and drop questions. So if I have a question here and I want to move it, I can grab it and drag it and drop it to a new location and put it where I feel that it is needed. So this really helps. If I've added a new question, I'll go up here, I'm going to select the section, add a new question, and if you see the new question is above this, this logic here, but hey, I want to drop this down into the logic, I can bring it down here and put it underneath the logic, or I can pull it back out so that after I finish this logic question, then the next question before I hit section 2 will be whatever the question I enter. Now, I don't need this question, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. If you want to add a new page, you can come up here where it says Add New, and you have the option of adding a new page. Adding a new page is useful if you want to keep the inspection or the inspection format clean on a mobile device. So if you want section 1 on its own page, and then when they complete it, they go to section 2 and it opens a new page, you can do that. It just helps keep the screen very clean. I am not going to add a new page here. We'll go ahead and close that out. Now that we've completed editing our template on safety culture, we need to determine whether we want to save this template and publish it, or whether if we just want to save it and come back later for more edits. If we're ready to publish, we're going to move over here to the far right and click Publish, and that's going to publish the template. If we're not ready to publish, we just want to save this, we can come back and edit it later without actually publishing it. If we move over to the left and we click the little arrow back button, the little arrow back button up here, that'll save it without publishing any changes on it. So again, if you're editing a document, but you want to keep an old one up till you're ready, then people can keep using the old one, then you just go back without publishing the changes. Once this is complete and you're ready to publish it so people can use it, then you go to the right side and select Publish, and it'll publish this document so people can start using it. Thank you, and I hope you find this video useful.